edition of the Ridley Report is brought to you by KingCast.net. And KingCast.net is actually standing right in front of me with some news to report. You've just gotten back from federal court. You're trying to gain access to Kelly Ayotte media events. You're a blogger. And tell me what happened in court today.
Well, first off, I'm not a blogger. I'm a journalist.
Okay.
Reporter, first off. And I think the blogger term is used derisively, and that's unfortunate because I have experience at a daily newspaper. I've edited also a weekly newspaper. So I think that the mass media wants to use the word blogger to try to keep us down and keep us, under the rug, so to speak. But in any event, yes, I do have a blog, and I have a website. KingCast.net is the main portal, and off of that I run several other blogs. And I will be soon involved in other community activist video. But at any rate, yes, the issue here is this. I have been threatened with arrest 3 different times by Kelly Ayotte and her henchmen, also by the Nashua Police Department, and this is always at her publicly advertised events. Now, the GOP brass has recommended me and also accepted me as a journalist on several occasions. And Dennis Hogan is the chair of the Nashua Committee for the GOP. In any event, they have welcomed me into an event and then threw me out of an event at the same time. So, they can't do that. They cannot discriminate based upon viewpoint once they have a forum that's open to the public like that. And I have case law on that. So the problem is that I filed this lawsuit 12 days ago. And through the machinations of the lower court here in Hillsborough and through what happened over the last couple of days when they removed the case to the federal court, I'm not going to get a substantive hearing until at least November 1st, which is, of course, the day before the election. So at this point now, the only things I can ask Kelly Ayotte about, I'll be doing it while she's a U.S. Senator, so she's likely to win.
Well, now, one question I would have is, do you think that the Ayotte campaign has property rights in the sense that they, should be able maybe to allow whatever to happen on property that they've rented? Shouldn't they have authority over property they've rented with voluntarily raised funds?
No, and I'll tell you why. Because you have state action involved, and the police came in uniform on the clock, all right? And they engaged in viewpoint-based discrimination, particularly at the Joe Arpaio rally. Let me explain this for you viewers out there quickly. There were 3 events. There was the Manchester Facebook rally sponsored by Kelly Ayotte, which is right up the road here in Manchester, where we are standing. Then there was the Joe Arpaio event, the esteemed lawbreaker, if you will, depending on your viewpoint.
At least he talked to you.
Yeah, right. You're right. He recognized me as a journalist and answered my questions.
Yeah.
And that was the second event. And then the third event was the VFW event with John McCain, who has a history of expelling black reporters, of course, from events. So all that's going to become interesting because I do have a racial claim in my lawsuit. Now, they don't have a right to do that because of the state action. So once this is again a publicly advertised event, taxpayer money is being spent with the police, and you have other media there. So I'm definitely media. I sit next to a gubernatorial candidate, current governor of Massachusetts, Deval Patrick, and so I roll movies with him.
If I may interrupt real quickly, I just want to focus a little bit more on what happened today.
Yeah.
What's changed today as a result of, what exactly is the Fed's rule at federal court?
Oh, what the federal decision today said was that they are to answer my request for immediate TRO and injunctive relief immediately, and they're supposed to answer it, on or before the 1st of November. But we all know, of course, that the election is the 2nd of November. So at that point, it's almost moot, and then the issue moves to damages. What are my damages for being unconstitutionally deprived of the right to ask candidate Ayotte a question or two and to expose things that she has done that I feel reflect poorly on her candor?
As long as you're being prevented from asking her the questions, why don't you ask the public these questions right now that you have the chance? What are your main concerns about Kelly Ayotte?
Well, I think one of the main reasons that she can't stand me is the fact that I've exposed her malfeasance in a number of areas. We've got unconstitutional DNA testing. I wanted to ask her about that. We've got the Franconia shooting tragedy.
DNA testing of who?
Youth. Yes. Let me explain. There was a policy that she supported for quite some time where youth were being forced to provide DNA samples, nonviolent offenders, things of that nature, people who were not sexual predators. There's that issue. there's the issue of the cover-up in the Franconia shooting tragedy that resulted in Casey Sherman's book and forthcoming Hollywood movie, Bad Blood, Freedom and Death in the White Mountains.
And so most of us would like to be able to see Kelly Ayotte's reaction, at least, when someone asks her these questions, and we're not able to because you are pushed out of these meetings.
I'm silenced.
Right.
That's right, and that's exactly what they intended. And so whether it's not by design or by happenstance, through both of these courts, and keep in mind, I used to practice civil rights law, First Amendment. I won a lot of cases based on the First Amendment when I was practicing, and then as a civilian I've won cases under the First Amendment. So I'm no neophyte when it comes to this. I know the First Amendment like I know the back of my hand. And I still couldn't get a hearing.
Yeah.
Before the election. So what does that say? What if the average person wanted to try to get a hearing on this? It's never happened.
I guess my question is, what do you think people should do about the problems that you're perceiving?
Well, that's a broad question. I think people need to be more active. People need to actually start sitting in again. Little motorcycle there. I'm going to go ride mine soon.
I think we can say
yes. That's right. I think people need to start sitting in. People need to start following more Ridley Report, and they need to start following my blog, Chris King's First Amendment page, because there is a convergence here between what you guys do and what I do. And it's all about the First Amendment and the power to use your words for change. And I think that's where we need to start right there. People need to start sitting at these offices, whether or not you acknowledge the government or not. At this point, I still do, and I try to work within the system, but the system clearly failed me. It patently failed me. I didn't get a hearing, and I'm not going to get a hearing for some reason. And, I'll leave that up to your conjecture as to what that reason is.
Yeah. All right. Anything else you'd like to add?
It's a beautiful day. I'm going to go ride my motorcycle.
Okay. All right.
Day.
As I said, this edition of the Ridley Report commissioned by Christopher King to try and get the word out about, the censorship being imposed on him. I guess censorship is maybe a strong word, but
no, it's
like that's
accurate word.
Yeah, I think there's a merit to that.
It's prior restraint, David, because what they're doing on the front end by keeping me from attending the events is in effect prior restraint, because they're getting it at the front door what they can't get at the back door.
Right.
And that's the deal.
Kingcast.net. I don't have a song for you yet, though. No, wait. Kingcast.net. I don't have a song for it yet.
How about
Visit
Sweet Chariot?